Lando Norris thinks that he's driving better this year than he did last year when he won the World Championship. So does that mean that he didn't deserve to win last year? Ahoy hoy, thanks for joining me on Inside the Grid. Well, firstly, I want to start off by saying I actually agree with Lando on this. I think he is driving far better this year as a world champion than he did last year as a championship contender. But why is that? Well, maybe it's the lower pressure situation that he finds himself in. Last year, the stakes were extremely high for Lando. He found himself in a championship contending car which he needed to utilise whilst he had the chance. That opportunity may have never come again and still might not. So the added pressure of having the fastest car on the grid would have definitely contributed to his form, especially in the first half of the 2025 season. I mean, let's think about it as if you were Lando, or I was Lando, or I don't know, one of us was Lando Norris, whatever. Imagine you've been running as sort of best of the rest kind of pace for a few years with a few podium potentials and a pretty decent car in 2024, which was a taste of what might give you a championship, but realistically was never going to happen. And then all of a sudden, next year, you find yourself in the fastest car on the grid and suddenly the pressure is on to beat your teammate more than ever. And I don't know about you, but I don't think that Lando dealt with that very well in 2025. Not until after the summer break, at least. Canada was, of course, a very obvious display of that and how he was just crumbling under the pressure. And all the while, his teammate Oscar Piastri was cool as a cucumber until he wasn't. Of course, it did come Lando's way in the end, and now going into 2026, he's already won a championship. He is a Formula One champion. Basically, he's already in the history books, which means that the pressure is off. And it's not just the fact that he now has a championship under his belt that is taking the pressure off him this year. The car is actually also helping take that pressure off in a strange way. The McLaren car is not as competitive this year, and that is helping with this decreased pressure. And I know that sounds a bit backwards because you would usually think, well, if the car isn't competitive, then there is surely more pressure to get to the front. But I think it's actually the opposite. Let's think of it as kind of a have low expectations, and if something happens during the race and you exceed expectations, then great kind of situation, because the likelihood of McLaren fighting for victories in the first half of the season was pretty slim. So I just think that removes a bit more of the pressure, you know? And I think that Oscar Piastri is a perfect example of it, actually, because Oscar probably feels like he has something to prove this year after he lost the championship to Lando last season, whereas Lando kind of doesn't really have anything to prove anymore, and that's really showing in the results. Lando has the best finishing position, most fastest laps out of the two drivers, better qualifying results, and of course he is ahead in the driver's standings. So I think that that's a perfect representation of a driver who just seems to be relaxed, low pressure, zen mode. And it all just makes perfect sense really when you look at the results. But now that we're seeing this highly consistent, unbothered world champion Lando Norris, does that dim the lights a little when we look at his championship winning performance last year? Well, yeah, it kind of does actually, but not in a bad way. It does dim the lights on that championship winning year's performance, but it also shows that Lando was the deserving winner when we see him outperforming Oscar this year. I think that it would be a very different argument if we were looking at it the other way around. For instance, if Lando won the championship last year and drove worse this year, we would probably be saying, see, he didn't deserve to win last year. Oscar is clearly the better driver. But we can't say that now. We simply cannot say that Lando didn't deserve it in 2025 because he is now driving at the level of a world champion. And like I said, when I say that his performance this year is dimming the lights on his last year's performance, I am actually saying that in a complimentary way, because to be topping his overall performance the following year of a championship win just means that he's backing up his claim to that win. And judging by this year's performance, if he had the same car advantage this year as he had last year, he'd probably be on his way to another world title by now. And again, deservingly so. Let's try and find an example. Like, let's take like Lewis Hamilton, for instance. When he won in 2017 and then won again the following year in 2018, does that mean that the previous year was undeserved? No, of course not. It just means that the 2028 win was even more of a brilliant drive and even more impressive. It just so happened that for Hamilton, he had the car behind him both years in a row, unlike Lando. And let's not forget that Oscar Piastri also had the exact same opportunity that Lando had. He just didn't manage to get the win by the end of the season. So no, I don't think that Lando driving better this year means that he is an undeserving world champion in 2025. That logic just doesn't make any sense. If anything, it actually strengthens his case that he is a deserving world champion of 2025. If you made it to the end of the video, then thank you very much for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, then please do hit the like and the subscribe buttons. They are the best way to support the channel. And you may have seen a few animations coming up throughout the video. I'm currently trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. So if you do subscribe, then thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.